A very good evening to all of you and welcome to the news tonight. 30 minutes of top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. The budget session of Parliament gets underway. The Union Budget for 2015-16 and 6 key ordinances will be the highlights of the over 2-month-long session. On opening day, the President addresses Parliament, laying down the policy direction of the government. Stresses on the government taking all sections along towards all-round development. Delhi corporate espionage scandal gets murkier with police unearthing a second module leaking documents from the coal and power ministries. More arrests and raids in the case. Still no pullout of heavy arms in Ukraine as continued shelling threatens a fragile ceasefire. Kiev says there's no let-up in rebel attacks. And superhero saga Birdman bags 4 Oscars at the dazzling 87th Academy Awards ceremony that took place in Hollywood. First, President Pranab Mukherjee today addressed both houses of Parliament and outlined the government's vision for the country. Allaying fears of the land acquisition ordinance, he said that the government is committed to protecting the interests of farmers and their families. He said also that the biggest priority was inclusive growth.
Addressing the joint session of Parliament, the President listed out the Modi government's priorities. Along with the ordinance on land acquisition, the President devoted his speech to the Jan Dhan Yojana, calling it the world's biggest program of its kind. The President also called it the watchdog of the food security legislation.
My government launched an ambitious Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana to provide universal access to banking facilities. A bank account having inbuilt accidental insurance with a RuPay debit card. I am happy to state that the coverage under this scheme is close to 100% with a record 13.2 crore new bank accounts being opened.
President Pranab Mukherjee praised the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan while appealing to all MPs to devote 50% of the MP funds to the exercise. The President also claimed that the government's program has made India the fastest growing economy in the world.
Swachhta is an article of faith for my government. Swachhta will have an overarching impact on the overall quality of life and well-being of a person, particularly the poor. Swachh Bharat mission has been launched to achieve a clean and open defecation-free India.
In the course of his speech, the President raised the issues of river linking, rehabilitation of Kashmiri Pandits. He said the government was taking all possible steps to further relations with India's neighbours. He also mentioned that the government is determined to provide housing for all by 2022. That is, in the 75th year of India's independence.
Sentinel of our food security, Annadata Sukhi Bhavo, have been one of our fundamental civilizational values. My government attaches enormous importance to the well-being of farmers. This will need value-added agriculture, market reform, use of technology and improving productivity in areas with untapped potential. The year 2015 has been designated as International Year of Soils.
In his 20-page speech, the President praised the achievements of the government while highlighting the challenges ahead of it. He also asked the members to provide constructive cooperation for the smooth running of Parliament. Arvind Kumar Singh's report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's talk about some of the salient points of that speech of the President. Smita Gupta, Associate Editor with The Hindu, joining us in studio this evening. Good evening, Smita. Give us a sense really of the message that came across from the President at this point, considering the fact that the opposition, especially Sonia Gandhi, saying there's nothing new in this speech.
Well, I think the most significant part of the speech, apart from the achievements that were listed in the 9-month tenure of this government, was the appeal made by the President to the opposition for a kind of constructive cooperation on the floor of the House, the fact that the hopes and aspirations of the people rest with Parliament. So in a sense it was an appeal to the opposition to cooperate with the government, something that we have not seen in the previous two sessions. There was also mention of two of the key ordinances, two of the 6 key ordinances that the government wants to convert into acts of parliament in this session. One was a Land Acquisition Act,
yes,
which is now taken center stage. With with the entire opposition ranged against the government, not just the opposition but also social movements. We have Anna Hazare here in Delhi,
yes,
sitting in Dharna, and the other act was of course the insurance ordinance, which is a sort of one of the key issues on this government's reforms agenda. So I think that was one important significant item on the president's speech.
Yes.
But apart from that, what was interesting was that the speech made frequent mention of the BJP's own icons. So you had Shama Prasad Mukherjee right at the beginning. You had Deen Dayal Upadhyay, who was an RSS and BJP ideologue, mentioned at least 4 times, including his philosophy of integral humanism, which if you look up the BJP website, you'll see it's one of the guiding precepts of the BJP. Then of course, Atal Bihari Vajpayee was mentioned once, former Prime Minister. You had you also had Nanaji Deshmukh, another RSS ideologue. There are schemes that are being named in the name of these
yes,
people. In a way, the BJP wishes to put its stamp on this nation as well, because as we know, in previous years you had schemes, roads named after members, senior Congress leaders, particularly members of the Nehru-Gandhi family.
Yes, yes.
And then of course there was mention of 3 of the Congress's icons which the BJP has borrowed. Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, who was given the Bharat Ratna recently by this government, Sardar Patel, in whose name a huge statue is being erected,
yes,
and finally at the end there was a mention of Mahatma Gandhi in the context of the Pravasi Bharti Divas. So in a sense the BJP is trying to put its stamp on the nation. And the other interesting thing was that many of the schemes for which the government is taking credit are actually schemes that were launched by the previous government.
Yes. In fact, when we're talking about, the upcoming budget session, there's a lot of, what do we call it, speculation really on whether it is just going to be an extension of what the UP has done so far, perhaps just renaming it, renaming certain projects, but pretty much the same thing as what the UP has done. That's of course one thing which there's a lot of speculation about. But then very quickly, Smita, if you could also give us an idea of the upcoming session, apart from the budget itself, which is of course going to be a big challenge. We're also going to talk about the ordinance that you had mentioned about. We'll come to you, but just let's quickly get through what happened on the first day, at least, of the budget session. The Minister of State, in fact, of Parliamentary Affairs had tabled those 6 ordinances, important among which were of course that Land Ordinance Act, insurance and coal mines as well. The government of course will try to turn them all into law this session. Let's take a look at what happened.
Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Rajiv Pratap Rudi tabled 6 ordinances in Lok Sabha under Article 123(2)A of the Constitution. The 6 ordinances are the Coal Mines Special Provisions 2nd Ordinance 2014, the Insurance Laws Amendment Ordinance 2014, the Land Acquisition Rehabilitation and Resettlement Amendment Ordinance 2014, the Citizenship Amendment Ordinance 2015, the Motor Vehicles Amendment Ordinance 2015 and the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Ordinance 2015. The government claims it is its right to bring in these ordinances. It has also said it is ready to debate these ordinances in the House. The government has now sought the opposition's support in turning these into law.
I request all our friends who are criticizing the ordinance route, please understand the spirit of the Constitution, understand the circumstances which necessitated the government to go for ordinance. Ordinance for the welfare of the people, ordinance for the common good of the country, no political agenda at all. This is my plea to all political parties.
The opposition, however, is not happy with the government taking the ordinance route. They feel that the government is functioning through ordinances, thereby insulting the parliament.
जब ऑर्डिनेंसेस पेश करेंगे डिस्कशन के लिए, हम उसको क्या स्ट्रेटजी अडॉप्ट करना है वो डिस्कस करेंगे. हम तो ये चाहते हैं कि यूपीए सरकार की जो लैंड एक्विजिशन एक्ट ओरिजिनल है वही एक्ट जारी में रहना चाहिए. हम ऑर्डिनेंस के फेवर में नहीं है.
न राष्ट्रपति जी ने पहले भी बार इसके बारे में कह दिया है कि ऑर्डिनेंस सरकार नहीं चलना चाहिए, लेकिन ये जो सब भाषण दे रहे थे उसको सब मिला के इन्होंने पढ़वा दिया उनसे.
Out of the 6 ordinances, the government is likely to face great opposition on at least 2, the one regarding land acquisition and the one for insurance. Shyam Sundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Smita Gupta of the Hindu still here with us in studio. Smita, very quickly, just give us a sense of the challenge really of those 6 ordinances and how crucial it will be for the government to really get them.
Well, you know, I think the land ordinance falls into one category because that is the one where the entire opposition is opposing it. I think the government is going to introduce several amendments because the opposition comes not only from opposition parties but from RSS organizations. So I think we are going to see some amendments that will bring it in line with what the earlier act was. As for the other 5 ordinances, the insurance ordinance, the government is hoping that the Congress will support it in the Rajya Sabha, and that is why Mr. Venkaiah Naidu went to meet Congress President Sonia Gandhi yesterday, because the insurance bill was something that the UPA government had earlier introduced. But apart from this, opposition leaders in both houses of parliament have moved statutory resolutions against promulgation of ordinances, and these resolutions will also come up in both houses. And it will be, I mean, that is, this opposition is not just about the content, but the fact that the government is avoiding the discussion, debate and then decision, and instead taking the decision first and then the debate and discussion.
Yes. All right. Smita Gupta, of course, a heated session coming up ahead, but thanks so much for joining us. We'll be, hoping to get you again on, perhaps voices that will be coming out of what are we going to be expecting in this budget session. Thanks so much for joining us. We're talking about voices, protests, like Smita mentioned, growing louder against the government's amendments to the Land Acquisition Act and the promulgated ordinance. The Congress, in fact, trying to stay at the forefront in cornering the NDA government on this issue. The government, meanwhile, used the President's address to the joint session to justify the ordinance issued by them.
The right to fair compensation and transparency in land acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act has been suitably defined to minimize certain procedural difficulties in acquisition of land, inevitably required for critical public projects of infrastructure and for creation of basic amenities like rural housing, schools, hospitals, particularly in remote areas.
The land acquisition ordinance in focus in the President's address to the joint session of Parliament on the first day of the budget session. Several political parties have voiced concern on aspects of the ordinance in the past, and the Congress, as principal opposition party, is trying to stay at the forefront of this attack on the government.
Particularly जो लैंड एक्विजिशन बिल है, इस तरह के ऑर्डिनेंस की हिमायत करना, मदद करना, पास करना तो बहुत मुश्किल होगा हमारे लिए.
सबका साथ सबका विकास कहाँ है? अगर सबका साथ होता तो उन्होंने सबका तो साथ लिया, विकास तो इंडस्ट्रीज और कॉरपोरेट लोगों का कर रहे हैं. किसानों की जमीन लेने के कानून बना रहे हैं और कॉरपोरेट को बेचने का काम कर रहे हैं.
On its part, the government refutes allegations of the amendments being anti-farmer, insisting that the ordinance has been brought in after detailed discussions with states, including those ruled by the Congress.
सब अध्ययन करने के बाद, संबंधित लोगों से बातचीत करने के बाद हमने अध्यादेश लाया. इसमें कोई किसानी विरोधी कोई कानून प्रावधान नहीं है. ये किसान का हित में है. किसान को 4 गुना ज्यादा उनका जमीन के लिए उनको ये कॉम्पेंसेशन मिलेगा और किसान को कोई नुकसान करने का सवाल ही नहीं है.
The land acquisition ordinance imbroglio is likely to echo large in Parliament in the weeks to come. And not just inside The Congress is also organizing protests at block and district levels, which will culminate in a dharna at Jantar Mantar on Wednesday, likely to be attended by party Vice President Rahul Gandhi. The land acquisition bill has been counted as one of the major achievements of the UPA by the Congress party. And now, when the Congress is sitting on opposition benches, the same bill is being used by them to not only corner the government, but also to project Congress's pro-farmer credentials. Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
In fact, social activist and anti-corruption crusader Anna Hazare began a two-day protest in central Delhi today against the land acquisition ordinance. Anna Hazare has demanded that the centre withdraw the proposed amendments to the Act and the promulgated ordinance. Several farmers' organizations and social activists, including Medha Patkar, joined Anna's protest. He has termed the ordinance anti-farmer. Aam Aadmi Party convener and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal will also be joining his agitation at the Jantar Mantar tomorrow. Kejriwal, along with the Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, met the Gandhian this evening.
आजादी के 68 साल के बाद कभी किसानों पर इतना अन्याय नहीं हुआ होगा, उतना अन्याय ये सरकार ने भूमि अधिग्रहण बिल अध्यादेश निकाल कर किया है।
कल हम लोग वहां आएंगे और अरविंद और मैं कल करीब 3 बजे के करीब वहां अन्ना जी के साथ में बैठेंगे, थोड़ी देर धरने पे भी बैठेंगे।
Well, faced with much opposition to the land acquisition bill, BJP leaders are in a huddle at Rajnath Singh's residence this evening to chalk out a strategy for this bill in Parliament. In fact, if we could go across now to our correspondent Shyam Sundar, who is trying to get us all details possible on that. Shyam, if you can hear me, just give us a sense really of what is going on at this point. Clearly, they are understanding the momentum going against this bill.
Well, there was an informal meeting of senior BJP leaders, though everybody who was present in this meeting, they are a member of parliamentary board, whether it was Mr. Arun Jaitley, finance minister, he was there, then Sushma Swaraj was there, Shivraj Chauhan, chief minister of Madhya Pradesh, they all parliamentary members, barring Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, were present in this meeting. And when I am talking to you, though most of the members have left, but BJP President Amit Shah is still inside with Mr. Rajnath Singh, and what information we are getting is that there was a thorough discussion on the issue of land acquisition. As we all know that opposition is very, very aggressive and attacking BJP, and the opposition is trying to brand BJP as a pro-rich, pro-corporate and anti-farmer party. And there are protests. Mr. Anna Hazare is sitting on a dharna. Even organizations like Bharatiya Kisan Sangh, affiliated to RSS, they are opposing this ordinance. So there is a clear feeling in the BJP that it is a very, very sensitive issue. And we have seen in Delhi elections also that in rural area, BJP in last elections got almost 12 seats, and in these elections there was a clean sweep of Aam Aadmi Party. So,
yes.
And BJP has to face two very crucial elections, Bihar and West Bengal. So BJP is very, very sensitive on this issue, and there is a rethink on the whole issue. And in the morning itself, on the very first day of the budget session, we heard Mr. Venkaiah Naidu, Parliamentary Affairs Minister, when he said that on the issue of land acquisition, they are not running away from any debate, and if the amendments come or some good suggestions come from opposition parties,
yes, we are going to take that into account.
Amendments and suggestions. So there is a softening of stand on the land acquisition ordinance.
Let's see what comes out of this meeting. Thanks so much, Shyam Sundar, for joining us with those details there. The BJP meeting ending, of course, at this point. All right, a quick break here. Still ahead, our focus continues on the upcoming budget, and we'll take a look at what could be in store for the forces guarding our borders.
The Modi government's first full-fledged budget session. What's the government's vision? What does it promise?
My government, all together development. of all.
Watch The Big Picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get you more news now from the capital. The corporate espionage scandal in Delhi involving key ministers is getting murkier. Delhi police has unearthed a second module that has been deeply involved in leakage of confidential documents from the coal and power ministries. More arrests and a new FIR has come about in the case, even as raids continued across Delhi and NCR.
Officers of the Oil and Petroleum Ministry in the capital, where the biggest spy scandal involving leakage of highly classified documents exploded out into the open. The accused in that case were taken to the crime spot again on Monday, even as another similar case burst into the spotlight. An energy consultant is the latest man arrested, detained with 6 others.
Investigation, it came to notice that one person, Lokesh, he had been indulging in removal of official documents from Ministry of Coal as well as Ministry of Power. So we have registered a case and we are now making further investigation to arrest his accomplices.
The latest arrest is separate from the Oil Ministry leak case that was unearthed on Friday. The FIR this time is for trespass, theft, criminal conspiracy and fraud, and there are signals of a far deeper nexus involved, with police raids being conducted at the Coal and Power Ministry offices.
क्योंकि ये सेपरेट है, इसका कोई उन केस उस पर्टिकुलर केस के साथ में लिंकेजेस नहीं है, दो इट बिलोंग टू द सेम क्लास ऑफ केस, बट क्योंकि लिंकेजेस का अभाव था तो इसलिए एक सेपरेट FIR दी है. जो इस केस के अंदर में व्यक्ति पाए जाएंगे, लिप्त पाए जाएंगे, उनको गिरफ्तार किया जाएगा.
A political storm had broken out on leakage of the sensitive documents, with the BJP calling the matter a legacy of security shortcomings in the last dispensation. 12 persons have already been arrested in the Oil Ministry leak case, among them 2 energy consultants and 5 senior executives working in top private companies. And going by reports, there are signs of many more skeletons tumbling out still. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Right now, a crucial aspect of India's defence is the internal security apparatus that also comes under the head of defence expenditure of the union budget. Internal security raises new demands each year, and there are strong indications that far greater allocations may be made to this segment by the Finance Minister this time.
It's an arduous task, 24-hour maximum alert manning of the borders. This border with Pakistan frequently sees skirmishes and shelling too. All along the border, it's largely tough terrain or intense cold and hostile conditions, or all of them. There are primarily 4 border security forces at work: the BSF, Indo-Tibetan Border Police or ITBP, Sahastra Seema Bal or SSB, and the Assam Rifles. For Union Budget 2015-16, sources say the Home Ministry has called for special focus on certain areas that will help border troops. These include boosting internal security in eastern states with special considerations on the red zone areas of these states, increased use of unmanned aerial vehicles for border forces, and special attention to drug trafficking control.
So my only request is, at least to start with, for this year, the coming budget, I request my Honorable Minister of Finance to at least give 2,000 to 3,000 crores for minimum for modern, though they need about 10,000 crores for immediate modernization, but procurement is a problem because we are having a policy of procurement. So at least 2,000 to 3,000 crores has to be given to BSF in this for modernization of BSF with our equipments both in water wing, air wing, and also equipments for the ground forces, particularly in left-wing extremist area and also in the border for the border management.
The outlay for paramilitary forces manning our borders has seen an increase in last year's budget. The BSF, which guards the Indo-Pak and Indo-Bangladesh borders, was allocated 11,242 crore rupees last year, compared to the 10,378 crore it received in 2013-14. Assam Rifles, which plays a key role in anti-insurgency operations in the northeast and guards the Indo-Myanmar border, has been allocated rupees 3,585 crore. In 2013-14, it had received rupees 3,358 crores. The ITBP, which guards the icy heights along the Sino-Indian border, got rupees 4,729 crore against the rupees 4,391 crore it received in 2013-14. The SSB, which protects the Indo-Nepal and Indo-Bhutan borders, got rupees 3,067 crore. In 2013-14, the force had been given rupees 2,763 crore. The latest induction in BSF's modern weaponry include X-95 assault rifle, 9mm Beretta carbine and barrel grenade launcher. Yet, talk of work conditions and vast shortfalls persist.
And the government in the Ministry of Home should take a personal interest and see that whatever equipment is available, the latest equipment on any kind of sensor devices must be supplied to the BSF. Budget should cater for this.
They safeguard the country's borders, setting aside their own lives, leaving home and hearth. What the country gives them in return, in their immediate functioning and for the longer term, is for the union budget allocation to decide.
While the Jawans continue to do their duty on borders and anti-insurgency, budget cuts prove to be crippling. With such dynamic and ever-changing security challenges to the country, modernization and replacing of old equipments is a desperate need of the hour for our border security forces. Palak Sharma in New Delhi for Rajya Sabha TV.
And talking about security on the border, international news in Ukraine today said it will not be able to begin the withdrawal of heavy weapons until rebels stop shelling. This just a day after both warring sides agreed on withdrawal of weapons from the front line. According to the Minsk ceasefire agreement, both sides have 2 weeks to pull artillery and tanks out of striking distance. Ukraine's military spokesperson said that rebels fired on government positions twice in the Donetsk region yesterday. The Sunday explosion in Kharkiv at the peace rally has also angered Ukrainian authorities. Alright, now entertainment and Birdman, the saga of a superhero, took home the most number of golden statuettes with 4 wins at the 87th Academy Awards. We leave you now with all the winners.
The star-studded 87th Academy Awards at the Dolby Theatre propped up some surprises this year. Dark comedy Birdman was the big winner, bagging 4 top prizes. Although the Grand Budapest Hotel also garnered the same number of trophies, Birdman aced the night. Up against Boyhood, American Sniper and The Theory of Everything among others, Birdman took home the coveted Best Picture honour. The film sees Michael Keaton play a former movie superhero actor who hopes to revive his washed-up career by putting on a Broadway play.
It was tweeted by @Prostate Whispers.
No, that's not true.
I know, but did you do it?
Alejandra Inarritu was elated at the winning of the Best Director award for Birdman. The film also bagged the Best Original Screenplay and Best Cinematography awards. He thanked the audience for seeing his crazy film and dedicated his award to his Mexican countrymen.
I want to thank so many people that I forgot. Also, Arnon, Brad Western, again, I think, thank you very much for believing in this crazy idea. All the people that behind this film was really heroes, because the idea was really crazy. A script that started with a middle-aged man, interior dressing room, cross-leg floating, can go anywhere, and we are here. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. And anyway, I just really want to thank everybody.
After 4 previous Academy nominations, Julianne Moore finally won the Best Actress Oscar for her role as a university professor with Alzheimer's disease and still Alice this time. Eddie Redmayne also cemented his place in Hollywood, winning his first Best Actor Oscar for his breakout role as physicist Stephen Hawking in the biographical film The Theory of Everything.
Thank you so much. I read an article that said that winning an Oscar could lead to living 5 years longer. If that's true, I'd really like to thank the Academy because my husband is younger than me.
I am fully aware that I am a lucky man. This Oscar this Oscar, this belongs to all of those people around the world battling ALS. It belongs to one exceptional family, Stephen, Jane, Jonathan, and the Hawking children.
The Grand Budapest Hotel picked up Best Costume Design as well as Best Hair and Makeup. It also won Best Score and Best Production Design. But the big disappointment for the night was Boyhood. Richard Linklater's film won just one award from 6 nominations, the Best Supporting Actress that went to Patricia Arquette. Black and white Polish drama Ida won the Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film, capping a successful awards season run. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.